right, welcome to Edge Radio Australia. Travis Carter here. We got Mr. Malloy to that side. That's my right. We got Derek all the way over there. We got a special guest all the way from the Utah in America. We got Dr. Dan Worthington. Thank you for joining us today. And a crasher all the way from somewhere in the world, Mr. Shaquille. Welcome back to the show. Great having you here. Let's see how controversial we can get on today's show. So,
happy birthday, Shaquille.
It's your birthday as well. Totally forgot about that.
Happy birthday, mate.
I won't do the Maryland right for you. So
we'll do the pleasantries later because this is
and I have another book. There you go.
That's great to see. We'll flog the book later. But how about we jump to,
because it's not me that's been absolutely out of control this week.
No.
I only make appearances on my birthday to bring some controversy to your show.
Yeah.
Now that
so we are going to do things as a smidgen a little bit differently today. So I am the host for today's show.
Allegedly.
Yeah, Mr. Malloy can't help himself. He's jumping in. So, Shaq's disappeared. Awesome. Yes.
That was easy.
And so
Allegedly.
So what's going to happen is I want to do this as a bit of a round table. I want to talk to each other, get their opinion on what's going on, especially what's happened over in Bondi at the moment. And my job is to try and keep the rants to a minimum.
All right, I'm going to lay down a disclaimer, allegedly, on this one. But no, I really want to look. We've had a little bit of a giggle to start the show, and I think a lot of that's got to do with like an uncomfortable kind of tension. Let's be frank, right? Like we're going to talk about something really very full on. I mean, look, at least 15 people have lost their lives so far. We've had a horrible terrorist attack here in Australia. It has changed the fabric of this country, and we are uncomfortable. We're having these silly little gags because, this is not something we want. I certainly don't want to talk about it, but we need to, right?
So I think the first thing we need to do is just recap what's happened. There was two people caused a shooting over in Bondi. The last I heard was 12. You've just updated me to 15. Yeah. I heard 27 people are in hospital, including a child has been killed.
10-year-old child.
I've heard 2 police officers. So I'm not sure if it was 2 or 3 police officers are now dead as well. One of the gunmen was disarmed by another gentleman who took 2 bullets, one to the hand, one to the shoulder, to disarm the gunman as well. Right. So there's been some really amazing things coming out of this, but also some really, really devastating things as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw it to the guest first. I'm going to first of all throw it to the land of shootings, America. So Dan, how's this been received in America? Because I saw Trump putting a post out about it as well already. So this has already made worldwide news.
And not only that, he's spoken about it live too.
Yeah. Dan, what's the feeling in America at the moment about what's happened in Australia?
Well, no, our hearts go out to the people in Australia and their families that have lost lives of loved ones and an apparent alleged anti-Semitic attack on these people who are merely celebrating their Hanukkah. And, this tension and this anti-Semitism, allegedly, in Australia needs to end. The government needs to be more aggressive at protecting the lives of their Jewish residents, citizens, and others that are there. I mean, it's their obligation. They've received many warnings about this, allegedly, and are just so busy allegedly kissing ass to the Palestinian protesters that they haven't got the alleged balls to act appropriately to stop this kind of terrorism, alleged terrorism, in Australia, which is destroying the reputation of people and a country that isn't known for its gun violence. And so this is a hate crime. And these people allegedly deserve to be punished to the full extent of the law. We received similar violence in the United States.
Yep.
Brown University, there was an attack by a gunman. That didn't allegedly happen. It actually happened. And they have a suspect under custody, but I don't know too much about it. But the violence is political hate crime is what it is all about, and it's mostly left nuts, wing nuts. In the United States, go ahead, I'll let you go.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there. I want to throw it to Shaq because he is actually in New South Wales. I won't say where. So what's the feeling over in New South Wales, considering what's happened? Now, my understanding is one of the gunmen did pass away. I'm not sure if the second one did pass away as well.
Critical at the moment, apparently.
Yep. So, Shaq, what's the general feeling in New South Wales? Is it just like a heap of zombies walking around in mourning and grief? Or because I did see a poll report come out, and I can't remember if it was Victoria or New South Wales, that 2 out of 5 people felt unsafe. So what's it like now, considering the day after we've had this tragedy?
Yeah, so I was out last night. We talked earlier about my birthday, right? So I was out last night, celebrating with friends, and one of my mates came up to me and said, "Hey, there's a shooting." And I was playing a pokey, which is called the Lone Rider. I was like, "Shooting? I'll give you a shooting." Didn't take it seriously because we don't have shootings in Australia. We're not the United States. We don't have these shootings. And then when it actually dawned on me that this was actually real, it's a disgrace. Now, I know people are going to talk about politics, and Charlie Kirk was assassinated a few months ago in Utah. Tragic. Some of us are friends of his or know him. We don't need this, and I'm not going to get into politics here, right? I don't care if it's left wing, right wing. I don't care. Totally bloody irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. And let's deal with this issue straight on. There is a lot of criticism about the way that Israel has responded to Palestine. Some of the United Nations groups are talking about human rights abuses and war crimes, etc., etc. Look, if you want to criticize Israel, criticize Israel. I don't think that's anti-Semitic. If you want to criticize the government of Israel, or you want to criticize Bibi Netanyahu, fine, you go for it. If you're not happy with the Australian government or the US government or the UK government or whatever in how they're responding, write a letter to your local politician. Go and protest out the front of your local politician's office. But you don't bloody do this.
Well,
you
this
don't
isn't
go out to one of Australia's most famous beaches and just go and shoot people, some of whom, by the way, weren't Jewish, right? Just go and start shooting people. This is the worst attack and worst gun violence we've had in this country since Port Arthur, right? It's an absolute travesty. So the father apparently was killed. The son is in intensive care or in critical care or whatever. I hope he survives. I hope he survives. I hope he suffers every bloody day of his life. He killed a 10-year-old kid. You got people that had to hold their husbands and wives as they were dying. This is not Australia.
That's
not
Australia.
What we stand for.
Bloody point. And here is the point. When you've got, and I will be political because I've had enough. I want my country back. And I am so sick and tired of the Australian Labor Party, that government, that absolutely spineless jellyfish that is Anthony Albanese. When he recognised Palestine and did that, and then allowed the very symbolic marches over the Sydney Harbour Bridge for Palestine, this is what fires this kind of thing up. Anthony Albanese, in my eyes, very clear, allegedly, and has blood on his hands. Allegedly. I am so angry about this. It is time this traitor to this country was taken out, and not like that. I meant voted out. Make that very, very clear. Violence is not the answer, but I want my country back, and I'm sick to death of the Labor politicians selling our country for votes, for their power and their greed and their financial gain. I've had it. It is time we took this country back. And you will not find the answer in the Labor Party or the Liberal Party. It is time for the two-party preferred system to go.
Okay.
So, but you know what, Aaron? That's what I like to say. Forget about the Labor Party. There's no point in me criticising the Labor Party because you all know I'm never going to vote for him. I don't like him, right? What is most detestable to me is our side of politics. Where are the softcocks and the Nationals and the Liberal Party? What are they doing? They're just as bloody bad as the Labor Party. They're just as bad as the Greens. They've sold this country down the drain, right? And this is what we get. This is what we get. Well, I'm actually not 100% sure what Hanukkah is, but they're celebrating something which is their cultural event on on Australia's most famous beach.
Right.
This is what we get. It's a
so one thing I want to be really, really clear here. So I've had this argument with a few people already. The difference between free speech and hate speech. So this is just something I need to clarify very, very importantly. Free speech is where you can say anything, you can criticize whoever you want, and that you shouldn't have any repercussions back at you. You'll have to put up with the blowback as well when people reply to you. You can't go out and say something and not expect someone to say something back.
Consequences.
Okay, so that you still have the consequences of what you say. Hate speech becomes where you start calling to action people to take action against someone. So back in 2023, we had the Palestinian protests against the Israelis where they were saying gas the Jews. So what they're doing, they're actively going out and saying, go out and commit crimes against one secular group of people, which means you're making a call to action. If you turn around and say, I don't like the Jews, I don't like what they're doing, that's fine. That falls under freedom of speech. Sure. But when you turn around and say, right, I want you to do something against these people, that becomes hate speech. And I think the Australian government needs to be really woken up here because they've gone too far in allowing and not, because we already have a lot of laws against hate speech. We don't need more laws in this situation, but we need a government that's prepared to actually act on the laws that are already in place. So the person we haven't heard yet from, Derek, coming, because you do have a lot of Muslim clients yourself with your business.
Yep.
You've got, from my understanding, you've got a few Jewish clients as well. On the business side of things, on the financial market side of things, does this really impact the financial market at all? Because I did see the Australian Financial Review actually did a big article and a big write-up about this as well. So this isn't just a political issue. How far does this reach into the financial markets as well?
I don't think it's going to have a huge effect on it, to be frank with you, in terms of that. I think it's more of a perception of, is that nation a safe place to invest in, and those areas from an economic perspective.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to have a huge impact at all.
I think it's a cultural movement.
I think, sorry, let me just say this. What I wonder is, in the debate of how this all filters through, my big concern is that the attention is going to be on a Band-Aid fix and not the real core issue. That's my big concern.
Knee-jerk reaction.
And knee-jerk reaction, and let's rush legislation through so that everybody feels safe again, right? And it has ramifications on people's freedoms that aren't really considered. I'm concerned that the left will try to make this a gun issue when it's actually not the core issue of what's actually going on. I think the actual issue that needs to be reviewed is a self-examination from the left about their immigration policies and who they're letting in. Now, I think there needs to be a freeze on immigration immediately.
I agree.
And then a review of the vetting process of who they let in and out of country. And I say that as a first-generation migrant, okay? Yeah. So I think that's the big issue, because I think the big cultural issue is a problem of you cannot mix iron and clay together. We've been hearing this from the left. You've got to embrace multiculturalism, embrace it. But when you are letting over 200,000 people a week through your borders, and you know, it's crazy how many people are allowing the rate of immigration. It's having economic issues on the country. Australians are fed up with, we can't afford our houses. We can't afford to get in the housing market now. Our kids can't afford a home. We can't afford to rent, right?
Schools
We've got inflation going through the roof. And now we've got this issue where we've got violence down in our country. What is going on? And if you raise that question, you're labelled a racist. And I think
xenophobe or all the rest of it.
All the other labels that are going on. And I think Australians...
the four of you are all good friends of mine, right? We've all had... I've had arguments with all of you guys, right?
Let Derek finish first.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, let Derek finish first, and we'll come to you.
I think the biggest issue too has been the whole censorship stuff, that Australians are tired of being told what to think and how to think and what they can say and what they can't say, even if it's legitimate and disagrees with the mainstream narrative. I think those are the big underlying issues in Australians. They've just had a gutful. And I think that's going to backfire, no pun intended, backfire on the left. Allegedly. On if they keep pushing that agenda and keep pushing it.
Okay, so I have noticed with what you were saying there is also because people are getting so unsatisfied, disenfranchised with the major parties. Things like, what was that? Tom Sewell or whatever his name is.
Thomas Sewell, yeah.
What is it, White Australia Party or whatever they want to do?
No, no, wrong person.
What's the neo-Nazi party?
Who cares? Him.
So apparently they've already got 3,800 members and they're trying to get registration into Australia as well. So what's happening is because there's no support on one side, people are swinging all the way to the other side. Now, Shaq, you wanted to say something, so I just wanted to throw it back to you.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Derek. Just say, look, all four of you guys are mates of mine. We've had, all four of us, we've all had arguments, or mostly it was me arguing with you guys. Freedom of speech, yeah? We've never fallen out. We've just had disagreements about political philosophy, religion, various things, right? This, what's happening now, and as Derek just said, he's a first-generation immigrant. I'm a first-generation immigrant. This has nothing to do with skin color. It has nothing to do with religion. This is outrageous. And what's been allowed to happen in this country is just it. Do you remember when October 7th first happened? And I remember coming on to these shows and the other shows that I go on to in the United States. They went out to the front of the Opera House and said, F the Jews, kill the Jews, gas the Jews, in front of the Opera House.
Yep.
And the coppers just stood there and did nothing. Yeah?
No,
was it last year or the year before?
2023, they were arresting Jewish kids and stopping them from going into the area because they were saying that they would be inciting violence.
Right.
Like that's how bad it was. Arresting people did nothing wrong. So keep going, Shaq.
So a couple of years ago in Melbourne, on Australia Day, there was that 70-year-old dude and his wife that got arrested for wearing an Australia Day hat. How ridiculous is that? And now, just recently, just the last handful of weeks, there was some chick that got arrested. All she did was wore a necklace with a Star of David on it. That's all she did.
Really?
Yeah? So I believe that was here in Sydney. Yeah?
Right.
When my cousins came over last year for Christmas, New Year's, and all the rest of it, went into Sydney. And again, I come from a Muslim family. Yeah? So they come over, they said, hey, where are the Sydney Christmas lights? Oh, so we don't have them because Clover Moore won't allow it because it's offensive to the Muslims. And they're like, what? Yeah, no lights, no Christmas trees, nothing. Yeah. So my cousin said to me, well, where do we go to see like all the Christmas lights and festivities? I said, oh, you got to go out to the western suburbs. You got to go to the Muslim areas. Because when you go to the Muslim areas, that's where they've got the Christmas lights. Yeah. Australia Day doesn't get celebrated in Sydney City. You know, another day that happens to also fall on the same day? India's Independence Day. So what do they have in Sydney? On Australia Day and India's Independence Day, what do they have in Sydney? Oh, they've got the flags for India, but not one Australian flag. It's absolutely outrageous. So, again, if you want to criticize Israel, or if you want to criticize the government of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu and the United States and whatever, you go do that. Go write a letter to your politician. But what you don't do is you don't go around and ruin our country by killing people on a bloody beach here in Sydney. I'm furious.
So what I want to go to now is I'm always a big supporter of, I get what the problem is. How do we fix it? We know the government's not done to it. This is going to have to come from the everyday people. The people that actually walk the streets and have dealings with business and stuff like that. So I've got an idea on this one. I think it's time for Australia to bring back open carry laws. I think there'll be a lot less open violence, machete violence, the gang violence that's in Sydney and Victoria at the moment. If let's say you walk around 1 in 10 people that are actually armed, I think there's going to be a lot less violence. Now, that's not a political stance for any of the political parties I'm associated with. That's just my personal stance. So, Dan, you are from America. A lot of the states actually do have open carry laws. What's some ideas that are working in America to try and curb like the school violence, the school shootings and things like that could be implemented into Australia?
Well, you know, it's interesting because we have like an average of seven guns per family here in the United States. So it's we're well armed. That's because we have the Second Amendment and we have the right to bear arms in the United States. And the real problem here, and we've seen it a number of different, is the hate speech and the pure unadulterated evil. So, you know, people of faith who are loving and kind and compassionate to one another don't kill each other. It's the whack jobs and the people that get incited by the politicians and others that turn to evil and choose to do these crazy things. Now, in the United States, we had a fellow that was an immigrant that killed one National Guard person in Washington, D.C. The other one may recover, but what a tragedy. He was an immigrant and from Afghanistan and not properly vetted, evidently.
Those are two 20-year-olds, yeah?
Yeah, or two that got shot.
They're like 20, 21?
The lady died.
Yeah.
And the fellows, I've been watching that. Actually, the brigadier general that is the head of the West Virginia National Guard is an old friend of mine. So, I watched that. But what a tragedy. And then, of Charlie Kirk. And that was another left-wing nut job. Evil. Not allegedly, has a relationship with a transgender individual. So in America, we see a clear pattern of a lot of crazy transgender people going off the edge and killing people. A lot of them have been transgender. It's just weird that that's been the case. Not always, but it seems to be that people that are in that category tend to be less stable than the average population is, in the fact they've been committing these outrageous crimes. And, people are tired of it. Kind of does bad things for their cause, when they claim to be, quote unquote, normal and sane, when the raging hormones and the political issues cause them to be violent or wicked. And so wickedness is the problem, right? So it's a question of those people who are faithful and God-fearing and loving and compassionate don't commit crimes. It's the people who are wicked and have been turned to terrorism and terrorist tactics that are the ones that have been groomed, whether, and I don't know who's grooming them, but they're grooming them to these wicked acts. And that's evil. That's wrong. And that's something that cannot be tolerated. You're right. These hate speech that cannot be tolerated on U.S. campuses, in Australia or anywhere else where they're inciting violence. Those things should be shut down immediately, and those folks should be sanctioned for what they're doing, because that's not free speech. If you incite violence and hate and those kinds of things, that crosses the line, and that's not free speech. That's hate speech.
Okay. So, Derek, from your perspective, because you've been both in America and Australia.
Yep.
How do we, prevention is always better than a cure. That's just my personal belief. Mm-hmm. How do we make it so that people are less likely to try and do this in the first place? How do we make Australia safe again?
I think we have to come back to the family. I think there's been such a deterioration in Australian families over the last 30, 40 years that's where a lot of the problems have come from. Mm-hmm. In my childhood, it was unusual to come across divorced couples. It was unusual to see unmarried couples live together. It was unusual to hear of kids growing up without a dad or a mum. You generally had both. And it's got to such an extreme now, and I've seen this through some associated businesses and this sort of stuff, where you have, like in childcare centres, you have some of the people who are looking after the children. They themselves have children by, mostly multiple girls, by 4 different men and stuff like this. And it's this blended family. And it's almost like high school. It's like, this is crazy. And I look at what hope do those children have in growing up? Now, the left are going to want to talk about the definition of family and all this sort of stuff. Look, stable families create stable societies. Mm-hmm. It's that simple. And I think we have come so far in accommodating post-structural thought that it's over. It's time to get back to principles that work. And I think, some of those might be unpopular in some circles, but, what is happening to men in our society right now, who are separated from their wives and have terrible access to their kids, and then there's no father figure in those kids' lives. That is a huge problem. Nobody wants to talk about, right? Unless they've been through that situation themselves. There's situations where we as families, we're teaching and sending families don't want to send their kids to school because of the propaganda that is filtered through the education system. Teach them reading, writing, arithmetic, but not all this other wokeism that's filtered through this political agendas that are there. We've got a problem as a society. We need a clean out. And this is what we're witnessing in the United States. There's a big clean out from head to toe over all areas of society in the United States. Australia's way overdue. It's clean out. It really is.
So, Shaq, I'm really impressed with how patient you've been in this show. So thank you for that. I'm going to throw the same question to you. You travel, from everyone I know, you travel the most I've ever seen. You've seen Europe. You've seen how it works in France, all the Arabic countries that you travel to, all the African countries and everything like that. Can you see a way moving forward to try and prevent this from becoming an even bigger problem than what it already is? And is there a way back?
There's more of us that love each other and that care about each other than what the media will ever show. Let's not let the idiots and the maniacs take all the air, because the majority of people are like us. The majority of people will talk about healthcare and tax rates and this and that. We'll argue about that sort of stuff, right? We don't hate each other. That's the majority of people. Right? I wouldn't hurt your kid. You wouldn't hurt mine if God ever blessed with them. Right? That's not how we are. We don't hurt each other. So we need to let that shine. And every time that we see people, whether it be people in the media, whether it be politicians, every time that we see them try to take that away from us and rip that away from us, we've got to fight back against that, because there's more of us than there is them. And that's pretty bloody important. I'll just say as well, I was born here. My parents immigrated here, one from the United Kingdom and one from Fiji. I grew up in a predominantly Muslim family. The other half of my family were Anglican. I was a choir, a soloist in the choir at an Anglican school. Yeah. I got all sorts of love and affection from my Christian friends. Daniel, please don't mention their names. I spent the whole night messaging our Jewish friends in the United States. I never met Jewish people until I went to the United States, until I find out that actually I've got a heap of Jewish friends here in Australia who never told me they were Jewish. I had no idea. Right? Heaps of love and affection from them. Jewish people in the Muslim world have always been protected. They've always been safe in Muslim majority countries. So this shit that's going on right now, this is the media, these are politicians that are trying to divide us for no reason whatsoever except for their own power. And it has to stop. So what I'll say to everyone, don't lose your faith. Trust in your fellow person, because the majority of people on this planet are like us. They're people that care and love each other. And these people that are in power are the extremely wealthy, the people that run all the tech companies, the people that run all the banks, the people that are in power, the Epsteins and all the rest of it. They're the ones that are trying to divide us. They're the minority, and we shouldn't accept it. So just remember to love each other.
From my perspective, so I'm going to go on a rant now as well. Everyone else had a chance. I try to spread it out evenly. I think we have enough laws already.
Derek, we mute him?
10 point, Shaq. I think we have enough laws already. I think what we actually need to do is start actually removing a lot of laws. There's too many in place. The government's too big. And I think with the amount of the population that's coming in, it's 600,000 a year. We don't have the infrastructure or the people to vet them to make sure that they're safe. And I'm not talking about people just from Arabic countries as well here. I'm talking about Asian countries. Like, you got to remember, Ireland had a great history of having one of the arguably best terrorist organizations in the world, the IRA. So to say that terrorists only
They're
come
not terrorists.
from Arabic country, well, we'll get to that discussion later. But what's happening is there's problematic people in every single country. The vetting process into Australia is dismal. We have laws that if you commit a major crime, you get immediately deported, but it's not happening, and the bureaucrats keep getting in the way. when Peter Dutton was the immigration minister, he actually tried to deport nearly 2,500 people. Of that, 2,300 or something were overturned by the Australian Appeals Tribunal. So if the immigration minister is deporting someone, there's generally a really good reason for it. I don't think that the bureaucrats should have the authority or the ability to overturn something like that. So I think our vetting process needs to be corrected. I don't think the laws need to be corrected. I think the laws are fine the way they are. They just need to be actioned properly. And that goes across the family law courts, the normal justice systems, the criminal systems, the whole entire lot. So we're coming up to 30-minute show. I'm going to throw it to Dan. Final thoughts, then I'll throw it to you, Shaq, and Derek, and then we'll wrap it up for today's show. So, Dan, final thoughts about what's happened and just anything else you want to add.
I agree with what Shaq said, and I agree with what you've said. We have the same problem in the United States. We got a bunch of whack job liberal judges that are getting in the way of us being able to use the people who are here illegally don't really have a right to appeal. They don't have any due process rights. They shouldn't. In fact, the law says they don't, but these Democratic liberal leaning judges are, blocking our attempts to get rid of the people that we need to get rid of in the United States. And so it becomes a political question. That's a concern. Now, the good people, the people who are on the side of right, and that kind of thing, and faithful people, we should stand up. We should stand up together. We have been silent. I saw an article today. I think it was in one of the conservative things, but it said, this is now becoming a battle between evil and good. Politics have separated to the point where it's pretty clear that one side is not on the side of God. They want to destroy him and eliminate him. The other side needs to discover its faith in full, so it can empower themselves not to be so timid about standing up to evil and wrong. Our Constitution was set up to protect the rights and privileges of a God-fearing people in the United States. It wasn't set up to protect the criminals and the people who are here illegally and other things. It wasn't ever done to do that. The liberals have done this. Moneyed interest in the world have created this problem. Soros and others, allegedly. No, not even allegedly, right? They're trying to destroy the family because they know when we unite together, we're a powerful source of good and strength, and God is on our side. And if God is on our side, angels will attend with us. And like Jack said, there are more of us than there are of them. They're trying to destabilize the world, create evil in the world, create division in the world. We cannot let that stand. We need to stand for hope and freedom and unity and goodness and light. That's what I have to say.
So one thing that's just come out, and Aaron's just told us this from the other room, so I don't know if you heard it or not. Albanese is already talking about gun reform. So the Sydney Morning Herald has already reported.
Of course all
these pop-ups are blocking my screen.
Told you they would. Of course they would.
Anthony Albanese.
Marie, we have no choice because of legal reasons, so we have to say alleged, but totally acknowledge your point. But we have to say that because of legal reasons.
Anthony Albanese on gun laws after Bondi attacks. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese discussing the need for tougher gun laws after Bondi Beach attacks.
This is the problem, let's just rush legislation through to be seen to be doing stuff when they're not, again, addressing the real issue here. And that's the problem with this. This is let's deal. Look over here. Let's not deal with the real heart of it, which we caused, that we had issues with. It's just total unaccountability. That's what bugs me the most about these bureaucrats. They don't want to be held accountable, and the ones that have to oppose them is we the people, because the opposition is just non-existent in those parliamentary halls. They're all same. Oh, that policy, same. Oh, that one,
corruption
same.
does that.
Good government gets good opposition, and because it gets better results. There is no opposition. So who is the opposition now? The people. They have to rise up and deal with these bureaucrats, because if we don't, it's going to affect not just us, but our children's children and the land they inherit here. It's already affecting it. And well done. Let me just say this. Well done, Labor, on disenfranchising every 16-year-old who's coming up to the election booth in the next 2-3 years and will not be voting for you. Well done. Well thought out. Yeah. Yep. Rush legislation through and you're going to get this backlash and it's going to continue. Stop for a minute. Stop with the emotion. Put the brakes on and think. Use that. Actually, public servants, do your job. Serve the people. Serve the public rather than your own bureaucratic interests.
So
that's my rant.
Okay, go for it. Now, Shaq, you're making them.
Serve the money. All three of you are fathers, right? But how dare you make decisions about your own family, and how dare you make decisions about your own children? Get Albo to do it, right? Because he's going to sit there and tell your kids what social media they can access and this and that. And now he's introduced that. We've just had this shooting. You don't think he's going to come after all the rest of us with our social media from here on? Now, I'll tell you, again, my family moved to this country in search of a better life. The American flag, the Australian flag, it means something. It's powerful. It's a representative of liberal democracy, which has been the best form of freedom that we've ever had in the world. Don't take that away from me. You burn my flag, I hate you. Right? And what we're seeing is an absolute attack by the Marxists and by all the rest of the people that want to try and attack our freedoms. Yeah? They're trying to take that away from us, and we need to fight for it. Our politicians aren't going to do it. And what happened yesterday is just a symptom of that. That is not a representative of us here in Australia, just like that dickhead, I'm not going to mention his name, the guy that allegedly shot Charlie Kirk. He's not a representative of Utah. He's not a representative of America. What happened yesterday is not a representative of this country. And I will say, on behalf of my entire Muslim family and every Muslim that I know, what happened yesterday is not in our name. It's not in our religion. It should be called out. It should be protested against. It's a freaking disgrace. And everybody, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever religion you've got, what happened yesterday has nothing to do with God.
So,
love and peace to everybody.
On that one, we're about to wrap up. The one thing that I've always called on the Liberal Party to take an action, stand up and do the right thing and actually fight the Labor Party and the destruction of what they're doing to Australia. And I have to give a shout out to one individual. I did invite him onto the show, but he said this is too heated at the moment. He will come onto the show later. This is Walter from Reform Australia. He was a power broker from within the Liberal Party. He saw what was happening and he took action against it. And that's why he's actually formed Reform Australia. And for transparency purposes here, yes, I have joined Reform Australia because I don't believe One Nation is going in the right direction. That's just my personal belief. So I want to see genuine opposition. I want to see well-structured arguments, well-structured policies, things that are actually going to work and try and mend what's going on in Australia. So I am going to throw this out to everyone out there. Please join one of the minor parties. There's enough attacks, and I'm not just talking for Reform Australia here. I'm talking for all of them. I'm talking for One Nation. Even like the Nationals, their numbers are really, really low at the moment as well. Please stay away from the Greens. Like, they're just batshit crazy. But I implore I implore everyone to join a minor party, to help out, to campaign, get involved and help out. So I'm going to chuck the link to join up for Reform Australia. Reform Australia.
Well, while you do that, I was going to say one last thing real quick. So firstly, as Joel and Steve and I said on the TPA and ARC podcast, at very least, don't preference the majors first. Take their $3.20 away from them and preference them second or third. All right. And I'm not going to specifically state what my connection is with Reform Australia, but I will just say, to be fair, Travis, to One Nation, my goodness, with a burqa, doesn't Pauline have sexy legs?
Oh, did you see Fatima Payman's like disgusted look? She's like, she's 70-year-old and got better legs than I have. So I just thought, you know what? She's good for a laugh, but has she got real my concern is, has she got real policies? Maybe she has. I haven't seen much change, and the back end structure of the party is just terrible. So that's all I'm going to say on it. We shouldn't be bagging out each other live on air, but if One Nation fits your political beliefs, go join them. For me, it doesn't, so I'm going to go join Reform. I will be putting my hand up to run as a candidate. I will be returning back to Australia to help them out, and that's literally why I'm in the studio. So Mr. Malloy has an important phone call. I'm going to give you the final comment.
Oh,
we
don't
were
do
supposed
that.
to wrap up about 10 minutes ago.
I heard you wrapping up, and I thought, okay, I'll stay out of the room, but never mind. My final comment is this: it's Christmas time, or whatever your religious special time is of the year. The reality is this is the time where we should be focusing on family and love and the things that are important. And this is a horrible, I'm going to use a ridiculous word, it's horrible distraction. It's a horrible event. And I certainly hope that it doesn't affect other people through. It's going to affect a lot of people, obviously. It's going to affect Australia and the culture, just like all those years ago with Port Arthur did. So I just would like to, just in this time, if we can focus on the positive things and try and move forward as much as we can and be there for each other, no matter what religion you are, whatever colour you are, wherever you come from in the world. Guess what? Okay, we all bleed the same colour. We're all internally the same people. So how about we just align ourselves?
And I'm not going to tell you not to be angry about this. Like, there's a lot of people that are absolutely seeing red over this one.
I'm very,
but
very
please
angry.
focus it in the right direction. Not attacking random people in the street. Let's go in, do it the right way. Go join a political party that meets your beliefs.
Yep.
And I've somehow triggered another comment, but that's okay. And just focus your energy into something that's actually going to make a
something
difference.
Positive. And as far as I didn't actually hear your conversation as I was walking back in the room about the different parties, I will just throw this out. That this is a time for the minor parties to be working together. So whatever party you follow, whatever ideology you follow, you know what, we might not agree on everything. You know, there might be 5 parties out there that agree on 80%. Well, guess what? That's a big number. Work together. Let's move forward. Let's stop letting Liberal and Labor and those and you know the communists and the Greens. Let's stop letting them lead policy and lead our country. It's got to stop.
Well, you need a MAGA movement. Make Australia great again.
Well, I've got the hat.
It'd help if we could start with the bloody Bill of Rights in this country, but
that's a good start.
You know, we talked about very briefly. We talked about the Second Amendment earlier, Dan. You know, those dickheads stood there on the end of that pier for what, 15, 20 minutes yesterday. If we had gun rights in this country, somebody would have shot them instead of us having to wait 15 minutes for the coppers to rock up.
Absolute guarantee.
Right? That wouldn't have happened. There wouldn't have been that many deaths. There wouldn't have been that many injuries.
Go have a look how many school shootings there are in like states like Texas because all the teachers carry. So
you reckon that what happened yesterday, do you reckon that would have happened in Alabama? Do you reckon that would have happened in Mississippi or Florida or Texas? No. Those two guys have been gone.
Yep. So on that lovely note, let's wrap it up for today. It's been Edge Radio Australia. Dan, all the way from Utah, thank you very much. Shaq, love your input, all the way from somewhere in Australia. Derek, like always, love your passion. Love the beard. It needs a bit of a trim.
Passion is important.
Yeah,
absolutely. Look, we live in a beautiful country. We've got some problems like every country in the world. I think right now is the time that we as a people need to put our foot on the throttle flat, damn hard on the boards there and make sure we don't end up like the UK. Because the UK, in my opinion, is gone. It's over. It can't be saved. Australia, we have right now, I think we've got 24 months where we can save this country. And the way we do that is by binding together and actually making a difference.
We've got 24 months to slow it down. Then we've got one election cycle after that.
That's how I see it.
So, yeah.
Well, now you're having a crack at me. Just because I'm British, I do still live in Australia and I live here for a reason. Regardless of what happened yesterday, we still live in the best country in the world. Sorry, Dan, but ours is better. Love you guys.
Well, you got a lot of work to make it better.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next week. All right. Have a great day.
Fantastic.